All right, let's go ahead and get started, everyone. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Kevin Finkler, your ASUN Director of Elections. There will be two debates tonight. The first debate will be between the candidates for the College of Engineering, and then following will be the debate for the College of Community Health Sciences / Orvis School of Nursing. Before we begin, I would like to go over some rules. As with all things this year, we are doing these debates virtually. Please refrain from posting anything inside the Q&A function or the chat unless it is an audience submitted question to limit distractions from the debate. We will now move on to the rules for tonight's debate. The rules for the debate for both debates are as follows. Tonight's debate will be between the senator candidates for the College of Engineering and then subsequently Community Health Sciences. Candidates will be shown on screen in alphabetical order. I will begin the debate with two-minute opening statements from each candidate. On the screen will be 1 minute and 30-second countdowns to let candidates know how much time is remaining. Candidates will be told if they have reached the limit and then muted by myself to ensure an efficient and fair debate is had. After the candidate introductions, we will then move on to our candidate-centered questions that will focus on the goals for each candidate that has been listed in their bios. Each candidate will get 2 minutes each to respond to each individual question. After all candidates have been given questions, we will then go to a 30-second rebuttal time period where candidates may add anything to their answers, give comment to an opponent's answers, or ask a question to an opponent's goals and/or their answers. If a question is asked, the said candidate will then have a 30-second rebuttal time to respond, said ending the round. After this first round of questioning, we will move into the general collect questions that stem from questions about candidates themselves, their visions for ASUN, and general ASUN questions. A similar format and time will be allowed with 2-minute responses and 30-second rebuttals. Moving to our last question portion, audience questions will then be asked of the candidates from students here tonight and from those who submitted questions today via social media. A similar format will be used for this portion as well in terms of timing. Finally, the last portion of tonight's debate for the College of Engineering and Community Health Sciences will be closing statements where candidates will have 2 minutes each for any closing remarks. After this portion of the debate, the College of Engineering and subsequently the College of Community Health Sciences will conclude and a virtual round of applause will be had. For anyone watching this debate, please feel free to use the Q&A function at any time to ask questions. These questions will be written down and then asked later on. All questions can be submitted anonymously, so your name is not attached to it. Last but not least, candidates, do you have any questions? Perfect. Let us begin. Tonight's debate will be for the candidates for the College of Engineering. The candidates of College of Engineering are as follows. Candidate Jeffrin Jojen, Joshua Lures, and Andrew Thompson. By virtue of alphabetical order, we will start with Jeffrin Jojen, who will have 2 minutes to start, and then moving on to the next candidate. Candidate Jojen, your time begins now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeffrin Jojen. I'm a first-year student in the College of Engineering, currently studying computer science and engineering. This term, I was an ASU intern with the executive department, where I got to learn how ASUN functions and how all the different departments work with each other to help the campus. This inspired me to run as a senator to represent the College of Engineering. As a senator, my main goals are first setting up an emergency relief fund for students who've been affected by COVID. I believe the coronavirus has affected all of us, and especially the university in many ways, as we have all transitioned to basically learning online through Zoom, and many students have been affected housing-wise, with jobs, or with food assistance. I believe setting up a fund to help such students with direct payments would be useful function with ASUN fund. My second priority will be ensuring that all students on campus and off campus paying for meal plans have access to more portable food options, especially as we're living in COVID, with people having to less rely on dining in options, and also expanding more healthier and vegetarian and vegan options on campus as well. Third of my priority list is going to be increasing diversity and inclusivity on campus. Unfortunately, UNR has some incidents with racism and other diversity-related issues, and in the College of Engineering, we have issues relating to diversity in race and women. I would love to tackle these issues and make our campus more inclusive. My fourth and final goal will be increasing internships and opportunities in research as well for students in the College of Engineering. Nevada is quickly becoming a hub for business and engineering through companies like Tesla, and I would love to have UNR encourage more students and more companies to come to UNR to recruit and have more kids involved in their future careers.
Thank you, candidate Jojen. We'll now move on to candidate Lewis. Candidate Lewis, your time begins now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joshua Lewis. I am a candidate for the Senator for College of Engineering seats. I'm majoring in civil engineering with a minor in construction management. My goals are to continue a lot of the work that I've done this past session. This would be my third term as a senator for ASUN. I want to continue the start that I made on fighting racial justice on campus to lower the over 50% unsatisfactory rate for Black students on campus, as well as almost a third of Black students considering leaving this university. I also intend to continue the substantial amount of work that I've completed in improving sustainability on campus. This past session, I helped to support protected bicycle paths in the RTC master plan, which basically means bicycle paths would now be separated physically from the road by a barrier or a certain amount of distance. I've also fought for ASUN to support question 6 on the last presidential ballot, which would increase the minimum required energy from the state of Nevada to produce to be over 50% by 2030, sorry. I'd also want to unify our student association more, being that a lot of this association festers in animosity and festers in the stresses of fighting for things that we're passionate about without knowing who we really are. And I'd also like to establish better requirements to hold offices so that students are more capable of holding these offices and are able to hold them for continuous amounts of time.
Thank you, Candidate Lewis. Moving on to the next candidate, Candidate Thompson. You have 2 minutes to begin, starting now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Thompson. I'm a first-year honors student majoring in chemical engineering here at UNR. Currently, I serve as an intern for the ASUN legislative internship, and I've gained an understanding of the Senate body. As a senator for the College of Engineering, I want to emphasize ASUN as a resource to the student body. My goals are to develop a strong connection between the College of Engineering and ASUN, work with the engineering outreach team to improve and increase internships for College of Engineering students, work to expand and further develop the UNR PAC prods, and develop a connection between ASUN and the newly established Honors College. It is a pleasure to meet all of you, and I hope to serve you for the College of Engineering.
Thank you, Candidate Thompson. As stated in the rules, we will now move into candidate-centered questions. To keep the format of alphabetical order, we will first start with Candidate Jojen. Candidate Jojen, referencing your goals for increased diversity and inclusion, how would you go about accomplishing this goal? What would be your first steps to make this happen on campus if elected? You have 2 minutes beginning now.
So I do believe personally, as a person of color on campus myself, I've personally encountered the history of UNR's unfortunately less inclusive side personally. And I do believe that step, especially coming from ASUN, has to start by first reaching out to students who are, as Joshua explained, dissatisfied with the community, with the university in general, and figuring out how we can specifically direct efforts at them. So that'd be my first response. And my second step would be allocating funds to specifically the Director of Inclusivity and Diversity so they can pursue different programs to help with diversity on campus as well. And I believe that's a large part of making UNR important. And that also, it's not just ASUN itself, because as students, we have ability, but we need to go beyond that. We need to reach out to President Sandoval and the rest of the university executive board as well to make sure they understand our concerns and they're making changes as well. Because only when our voices are heard as one voice, we be able to truly make change.
Thank you, Candidate Jojen. Moving on to our next candidate, Candidate Lewis. Within your goals, you state that you want to create common goals for the upcoming Senate body. How would you go about creating these goals at the Senate table that represents 18,000 different undergraduates in 10 different colleges?
So this goal stems from something deeper that I've noticed within the association the time that I've been here. And that was something I stated earlier, which was that a lot of us talk about or fight about things that we're very passionate about without knowing who we're fighting with. And that is where I believe that this goal stems from, in that a lot of us senators don't know who we really are and we aren't close with one another. And I believe that finding bonding activities, creating these activities to get to know one another in a more personal matter will allow us to work together to come on common goals more efficiently than we have in the past. And some of these common goals include the outreach and engaging with students, which is something that I would definitely want to do if elected, would be to, once we've all gotten bonded more, we would then create a giant outreach event in which we would be able to more engage with constituents on who we actually are as an association and what they would want from us, knowing full well at that point what we could do for them and the powers that we have to serve them.
Thank you, candidate Lors. Moving on to our final candidate for this portion, candidate Thompson. What would be your first steps to accomplish your goal of increasing voter turnout and participation within the college if elected as senator?
So I think that participation in ASUN is very important. After all, senators are elected to represent the student voice. And something that we've noticed, unfortunately, is that the College of Engineering, as well as quite a few other colleges around campus, have a very low voter turnout and general participation rate inside ASUN. One of the first things that I would like to, implement or to do if I was elected as a senator for the College of Engineering is to really try to establish a connection with different club presidents. By creating a connection with the different club presidents and making an appearance in different College of Engineering clubs, such as the Biomedical Society of Engineering, as well as all the different chemical engineering ones, I think that it would be able to create a connection by allowing the College of Engineering students to understand that ASUN is truly there as a resource. Because oftentimes I do notice that ASUN sometimes gets buried, and the work that ASUN does complete is completely separate from the student body. So by collaborating and trying to work with these different individuals and different programs within the College of Engineering, I think that it could start to bring more awareness to the college, which would hopefully result inside a higher participation rate and voter turnout.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. As stated, we will now move into a 30-second rebuttal time where you can use this time to make further comments on your answer, make a comment on an opponent's answer, or ask an opponent a question about their answers. Starting again with candidate Jojen, you have 30 seconds beginning now.
Yeah, I think largely speaking, I agree with the answers of my other two candidates. And obviously me having served on a executive center position before, obviously I don't have as much experience as Joshua when he talks about senators getting to know each other, but I do think that'd be very good if we got to know each other more personally, so we can operate more on large number of issues. And, you know, just getting to know each other in general is better for bipartisanship as well.
Thank you, candidate Jojen. Moving into our next candidate. Candidate Loris, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal beginning now.
Just to comment on my other two candidates' answers, I'm just really excited to work with these two candidates this next upcoming session. I've known them in a professional sense for about 8 months now, and I think that both of them would be very good senators to work with and would get their goals done in a very efficient way and are truly here to serve students.
Thank you, candidate Loris. Candidate Thompson, you have 30 seconds rebuttal starting now.
So I would like to kind of echo what the other two candidates have said so far. I think that it is really important that in the months leading up to the session that we collaborate and work together to try to begin to implement our ideas so that they go into the session as smoothly as possible. I think that it is great that Josh's ideas on trying to unite the Senate body, because a united Senate body is going to do great in trying to get ASUN more attention to the general student body.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. We will now move into our general questions. These general questions, again, come from getting to know you as candidates, getting to know your vision for ASUN, and general ASUN questions. Beginning with the first question, we will start with candidate Lewis and work our way down as we go through the questions. Candidate Lewis, you have 2 minutes to respond to this question along with all other candidates. What committees do you plan on sitting on? Why those committees? And how can sitting on those committees help your constituents within your college? Your 2 minutes begins now.
So I'd very much love to sit on the Committee for Safety, Sustainability, and Wellness. I currently chair this committee, and I've sat on it in the past before I've chaired. And this is just one of the main arms of my goals that I've had since I became a senator, is to improve sustainability on campus. Something I mentioned in my formal goals was to create public transportation for students at a $4 per semester fee, as well as providing more recyclability options within Nevada dining, whether it be at the Den or in the new dining hall that's being reconstructed under Argenta Hall. Another committee that I'd love to sit on is Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. I sat on this committee for a little bit at the beginning of this past session, and it really goes along with the goals that I've started this past session with the Black Lives Matter legislation that I wrote. And that would generally help kickstart the rest of the plan and complete the rest of the goals that I have listed on there that neither I or Senator Torres have completed this session.
Thank you, candidate Lewis. Moving on to candidate Thompson, same question. What committees do you plan on sitting on? Why those committees? And how will sitting on those committees help your constituents within your college? Your 2 minutes begin now.
So there are 3 committees that I'm currently interested in joining if I'm elected as a senator for the College of Engineering. Those 3 committees are going to be Academics and Student Affairs, Budget and Finance, and then Government Operations. These committees align with my goals. One goal in particular, I would like to try to create a centralized area on the College of Engineering webpage that provides the students with all the resources that the college has to offer. Something I've noticed inside the last year or last semester since I've come to UNR is that it's very difficult to keep track of the different events and the presentations that the UNR College of Engineering hosts. They're a great resource to the students, but when they're often emailed to the students maybe once or twice, those emails will often get lost. So inside this committee, I would like to work to try to, establish a centralized area for all colleges to be able to make those resources more available and known to students. Another thing, I would like to expand the UNR Pack Pods program to try to improve and to encourage social engagement on campus. Something that is going to be necessary is for ASUN to evaluate their budget and see how they can try to make this program more possible. That's something that is going to be really important inside budget and finance.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. Moving on to candidate Jojen, same question to you. What committees do you plan on sitting on? Why those committees? And how will sitting on those committees help your constituents within inside your college?
Yeah, so I have 3 main committees that I'm currently interested in. First is the committee for the budget. And the reason is, of course, as I mentioned earlier, one of my main goals is set up a relief fund for people, for students affected by COVID. I think sitting on the budget for the committee would be like the perfect place to make legislation and get me an understanding of how the budget works and where money can be reallocated to fund this project. I also know that ASUN has a budget of over like $3 million, which comes from all the tuition and the credits we pay specifically to the university. So I would love to provide more oversight and make sure that all of our money, the students' money, is being put to good use and none of it is wasted. Another committee I'm interested in is the Committee on Diversity and Inclusion. And like Joshua said, diversity is a big part of my campaign and my goals as well. So I think this committee is the perfect place where I can work with the director for diversity and make sure that UNR goes in the right direction. The third committee I'm interested in is the Committee for Academics. And I think especially with COVID, when we're all thrust into like the realm of online classes, especially for College of Engineering, where a lot of engineering students have to take a lot of engineering and science heavy courses along with math, be a bit difficult, especially when labs and other classes are being done online. This limits how teachers can interact and how work can be given out. So I think there needs to be more, especially for engineering students, we need to look into how we can provide more support for students in College of Engineering, and how we can make sure that their burden is not too much, especially when it's being conducted through online and lab classes as well.
Thank you, candidate Jojen. We will now move into our 30-second rebuttal period, starting with candidate Lewis. Your 30-second rebuttal period starts now. Candidate Lewis, you are on mute. I will restart your time whenever you would like to begin.
So I'm proud that candidate Thompson will be sitting on government operations if he's elected. I think that committee is severely understaffed a lot of the time, generally because others are so passionate about what the other committees have to offer that a lot of us forget that our core foundation was within the Committee of Government Operations, and that is where most of the foundational changes of our association come from.
Thank you, candidate Lewis. 30-second rebuttal time now to candidate Thompson. You may begin.
I just wanted to say thank you, candidate Joshua. I think that working on a committee like that could try to help promote ASUN's voice and try to ensure that there are ways that the association is ensuring that the general student body is understanding the different initiatives that that ASUN is taking under. So I hope to try to expand upon that inside that committee.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. Candidate Jojen, you have 30 seconds rebuttal time beginning now.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that candidate Lewis is also interested in serving in the Committee on Diversity and Inclusion, and candidate Thompson is interested in the Committee on the Budget and with academics. It's great to see so many candidates interested in the same committees, and I'm look forward to working with them if I'm elected to the next Senate.
Thank you, candidate Jojen. That concludes our first question. Moving on to our next question. As with before, we will begin with candidate Thompson this time. Candidate Thompson, what makes you the most qualified candidate to serve your college as senator? You have 2 minutes beginning now.
I feel like I have a very fresh set of eyes on the university. Being a first-year student, entering the university in probably one of the most weird times ever. I feel like I have a new perspective on the university. I really only know UNR as an online school for the most part, and ASUN as online for the most part. So I feel like that is a benefit because I feel like it keeps me open to different opinions and different thoughts, to work with different constituents, and to try to bring everyone in together and bridge the gap between the distance learning that we found ourselves in the last year with returning to normal operations. Sitting as an ASUN legislative intern, I feel has given me a very good insight to ASUN because while I have been a part of ASUN, I've still had some sort of an outside perspective sitting on as an intern. So I want to use that to my advantage by taking a look at what I feel ASUN can do better, such as communicating their missions and really trying to ensure that the student body is aware of what they're trying to accomplish. So I feel like by trying to implement that, I could benefit the constituents of the College of Engineering to the best of my ability.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. Candidate Jojen, same question to you. What makes you the most qualified candidate to serve your college as senator?
Yeah, I think when I talk about my own qualifications, I like to basically talk about previously this year I've been serving as an executive intern in the executive intern. So I've been able to learn more about how ASUN operates and the different people in the executive department. So I believe if I'm serving in the Senate, I'll have a good working relationship with the executive department. I'll be able to cooperate on legislation and other initiatives with our counterparts in the executive department. And also, as candidate Thompson mentioned, I think as a first-year student again, as me and him are both first-year students, I'll be able to provide a fresh perspective And I'll be especially pragmatic serving as a senator because I'll seek to pass legislation and cooperate with any other senators I can. And I'm not going to be held back by luck or decisiveness because I want to make sure that we can work together to achieve the most and make sure legislation actually passes instead of it seeing it fail.
Thank you, candidate Jojen. Candidate Lewis, same question to you. What makes you the most qualified candidate to serve your college as senator?
I think the antithesis of myself between my two candidates is that I am not a first-year student. I am about to finish my sophomore year here. I know this campus and understand this campus pre-pandemic, which I think puts me at a good edge for once this pandemic is over, as well as I think that myself, along with these two fresh candidates, is a very good combination for this college. This college is all about innovation and finding things new that work for you, as well as looking at the old and what you can bring it into that new idea. And I think that all three of us together would accomplish that greatly.
Thank you, candidate Lewis. Moving on to our rebuttal time period. Candidate Thompson, you will have 30 seconds beginning now.
I just wanted to say that I think it's great that candidate Jojen was a part of the executive internship. I think that coming in with different perspectives of seeing how the Senate operates as well as the executive branch operates is very important to being able to work and for the association to work together as a whole between all the different branches.
Thank you. Candidate Jojen, you have 30 seconds rebuttal.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm looking forward to working with my fellow candidates, and especially with candidate Lors. I've reached out to him personally, just privately, for asking him questions multiple times, and he's been a great resource. So I look forward to serving with him, and I believe he has a great deal of experience and advice to give me as a new senator coming into the session. And I'm also looking to working with candidate Thompson, who is a fellow intern like me. So I think we fresh faces and some experienced people as well.
Thank you, candidate Jojen. Candidate Lewis, 30 seconds rebuttal begins now.
Like I said earlier, I think that being an older senator or an older candidate puts me at a unique advantage for that, having the understanding of the university pre-pandemic. I'd be ready to jump in the fall or spring once we return in person to really give that edge within in-person Senate meetings, and also working with programming and clubs and orgs and coordinating them like we had before, in which we were able to serve students better.
Thank you, candidate Lewis. And candidate Lewis, I apologize. The second question was supposed to go to you alphabetically, so I apologize for that. We will then come to you for our next question. And this will be our last question for the general questions, as we have quite a bit of student-led questions. So, candidate Lewis, why do you want to become a senator?
I want to become a senator because it brings back my foundational roots of when I joined ASUN. When I really came to this university with a fresh set of eyes, it wasn't the university that I thought of going at first at all. I came here and I knew that in order to enjoy myself here, in order to have a really fantastic university experience, I wanted to do something extremely special for myself. And one of the first things that I came upon was the ASUN table. And I promised myself that I would apply after talking with my, not my Nevada Fit mentor, my summer mentor. And from there is just where it all started. This really is a very special experience to enjoy while attending university. And I'm really, really proud of myself. And I'm really excited to start this next session.
Thank you, candidate Lewis. Candidate, since we went the other way, candidate Jojen, why do you want to become a senator?
Yeah, I think basically I started off by applying to be an executive intern because I was interested in participating in ASUN and learning more about it. And I've had a great experience so far, and I've been encouraged to, and I definitely want to continue that experience expanding into ASUN. So I think being a senator is the next step in that journey, and it will be a great opportunity to serve serve the College of Engineering and help students do what they want and make the campus a better place. And I think I have a few goals that I do believe would make UNR an even better university to attend. And I think the Senate and through passing legislation would be the best way to get that done.
Thank you, candidate Jojen. Candidate Thompson, why do you want to become a senator?
So similar to candidate Jojen, I had the intentions of entering UNR with the ASUN legislative internship. And I've had a great experience inside the internship, despite even with it being all online for the most part. And I really do want to take that a next step. I really want to be a part of positive change on this campus and to try to help make it happen. I feel that trying to represent people it may be difficult at times, but one of the biggest things that I want to emphasize and the reason why I want to run is that I want to be able to ensure that everyone has a voice, because not only are no one person's voice is more important than the other. Whether you're an elected senator or whether you're a general student, you have just as much of an impact at this university. And I want to try to help make that possible even more for everyone at the university, which is why I would like to be elected as the senator for the College of Engineering.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. I apologize. We will now move into our 30-second rebuttal time periods, beginning with candidate Lures. Your 30 seconds begins now.
No rebuttal.
Okay. Candidate Jojen, 30-second rebuttal period begins now.
I think I agree with what candidate Thompson said, and I look forward to serving with him and candidate Lures in upcoming Senate.
Candidate Thompson, 30 seconds rebuttal begins now.
I think everyone here is here for the right reasons, and I likewise would like to look forward to working with everyone at the Senate table, hopefully.
All right, that concludes our general questions. We will now move into student questions. These questions will be picked at random, as some of them have already been answered in this, and we do have some that are candidate specific, so we will try to get as many questions in as possible to give as many candidates equal amount of time. Okay, starting off with the first one. In a year that has seen quite a bit of resignations from the Senate table, what do you think are factors that contribute to apologize, I cannot speak today. Divisiveness, I can't speak today, I apologize, on the Senate table? And if you see this, how do you plan to address and promote bipartisanship and cooperation at the table? We are going to begin with candidate Jojen.
Yeah, obviously I haven't served in the Senate before, so I don't have like a first-hand account of the decisiveness and like gridlock in the Senate. If I'm elected, I look forward to serving everybody. I'm going to be someone who's pragmatic and cooperative with anyone and everyone. So I'm going to look forward to actually getting things done, and I'm not going to hold any grudges or seek to slow down things. So that'd be antithesis of what I want to do. And specifically what I want to encourage cooperation and getting things done is I want to get to know my fellow senators from the College of Engineering, and I want to get to know all the other senators as well, because I believe if you're friends or if you just know each other on a personal level, it makes it much easier to cooperate because you're assuming the best things instead of like negative things about each other. And I believe just having a more friendly and welcoming work environment will do great things for productivity.
In an effort to get back on track, we are going to move into candidate Lures to get back into alphabetical order to get this on track. So the same question to you, candidate Lures, how do you plan to fight divisiveness, finally said it right, divisiveness at the Senate table? And if you do see this in the coming Senate table, Senate body, how do you plan to build cooperation and bipartisanship? 2 minutes beginning now.
So this question pertains directly to my goal that I have in uniting the Senate body. The divisiveness is truly due to the stonewalled animosity that different senators bring to the table every week. And it's seen by all senators and all those who attend. I think that the true solution to this is to create a more positive work environment and to ensure that we all understand each other and where our opinions come from and where our roots lay. so that we can truly understand why we feel that way, why we think the way that we are speaking into the record. And to address the part of which, do I foresee this? This is not something that's ever foreseen within the Senate body. This is something that starts after the body convenes. It's a growing leech within the Senate, generally because we become further and further divisive of each other, generally because we just don't know who each other are, and we are very passionate about the goals that we speak of, the legislation that we write, and to have someone that you do, it's very much easier to have animosity for someone that you don't know rather than try to understand their position.
Candidate Thompson, same question to you. Would you like me to repeat it?
Yeah.
Thank you. 2 minutes beginning now.
So the issue of divisiveness, I feel, has been very prevalent, especially during this 88th session. As I've been sitting as an intern, I've noticed it. And I think that something that this session lacks, that I hope this next session won't, is the fact that there is no sort of person-to-person contact with each other. Having this session been conducted primarily over Zoom over this last year, I feel like it's created kind of a disconnect between senators, which is something that I hope in this upcoming session won't entirely be like. I think that establishing a community and working together is going to be one of the most effective ways to curb this. But one important thing that I think every senator just needs to remember is that they may be an elected official or an elected representative for their college, but they do represent all of the constituents in their college. So it is really important to be able to understand that and to remember that whenever you're serving at the Senate table, because if you're allowing personal, I guess, drama between the senators to get involved, then you're not truly representing your constituents to the best of your ability.
Thank you, candidates. We'll now move into a 30-second rebuttal time period, which I believe we started with candidate Jojen. Candidate Jojen, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Yeah, I agree with what candidate Lewis and candidate Thompson said. Specifically, something candidate Thompson touched on is that people who are senators and elected officials are not just there to represent themselves. They are representatives as they've been elected by their colleges, and they represent the university as a whole. So they have a responsibility to the students they serve to get things done and not hold grudges and slow things down. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, what the students want is to want progress, not things to get broken down or gridlocked.
Thank you, candidate Jojen. Candidate Lewis, 30 seconds rebuttal starting now.
I have already taken a head start in this question, answering this question already. I've already begun to reach out to other candidates who are unopposed, and I am meeting with them this week and the next following weeks to ensure that I get to know them better well, so that we are able to create a more positive work environment together so we can hit the ground running on cohesive, efficient legislation.
Thank you, candidate Lewis. Candidate Thompson, 30 seconds rebuttal, begin now.
I think that candidate Lewis said it very well. I think one of the most important things for this upcoming session is that we really try to create a community within the Senate body before the Senate begins or the next session begins, so that we can hit the ground running, because that's going to lead to being one of the most effective sessions that I can imagine that we have if there is that communication and that community established beforehand.
Thank you, candidates. We will now move into our next audience/student question. This does pertain to most candidates, as it is either in your goals if you already studied so far, and is very pertinent to the times that we are living in. If a COVID relief fund is created, would COVID relief funds be open to everyone, or should there be a criteria of which students can get it and which would not be able to get it? We're going to start with candidate Lewis. You have 2 minutes beginning now.
I think the process in which we released our previous COVID funds back in last spring was a great process that we had in divvying out who got what amount of funds within the COVID relief fund that the university received. I'm fully aware that a lot of students, almost I'm sure all students who asked for COVID relief were able to receive it, considering that most were received an extra payment afterwards due to leftover money. So I think that the university has already done a good enough job with the money that they already received in the past. And if they were to receive any COVID funds in the future, I believe that they would be able to serve them out equitably again.
Thank you, candidate Lewis. Candidate Thompson, same question to you. If a COVID relief fund is set up and open, would COVID relief funds be open to all students, or should there be a criteria of who receives funds and who does not?
Similar to candidate Lewis, I agree that the way that the CARES Act was distributed previous times was effective, and I think that it should be distributed in a similar way. Some of the major factors that come into play whenever we're deciding information like this is how much is there available on the fund, and to the extent that it can impact the students at the university. So taking all of those into account would certainly be on a basis dependent upon what is made available to the university and to the students. But I think that it is important to be able to be equitable and to be able to consider all of the different factors that a student may be faced with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. Candidate Jojen, same question to you. If a COVID relief fund is available, should all students receive it, or should there be a criteria to determine which students receive it and which do not?
I definitely think there is a fund set up. I believe all students should have the opportunity and ability to apply for access to release some of the funds if they feel like they have a need or they want to get some of the funds. So I definitely believe that yes in that question. And if I'm going to create legislation or whether the university receives more funds, I'll definitely be opening myself to getting advice from people who served in the Senate before and anyone else who wants their input, because I do believe when we work together, that's the best way. So if anyone has any ideas how the fund should be structured or how it should be doled out based on like need or a specific criteria we should apply when judging students by how well or how much they need it, I'll be open to all suggestions.
Thank you, candidates. We will now move into our 30-second rebuttal time period, beginning with candidate Lewis. Your 30 seconds begins now.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Thompson, your 30 seconds of rebuttal begins now.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Jojen, your 30 seconds of rebuttal begins now.
No rebuttal.
Moving into our next candidate question, continuing on the theme of funds and spending, apart from allocating more funds towards programs that fight racial injustice, how do you as a senator plan to encourage student participation in said programs? We will begin with candidate Thompson.
I think that student participation is something that so many different programs are struggling with right now, especially with the way that things are being conducted with online and virtual methods. I definitely think that it's going to be something difficult to really get a grasp on, but something that we can all be hopeful for is that whenever everything returns back to normal operations, and by normal I mean in-person classes and all events and stuff happening on campus, I think that there is going to be more of a desire for people to attend those, just to be able to establish and to rebuild the community that kind of has been lost over the last year with the COVID-19 pandemic. I think that ASUN can try to promote these different programs just through their platform, their social media platforms, and then through all of their senators. ASUN is lucky to have senators that represent every college here inside at UNR. And if those senators work with the college administration and the student outreach boards, they'll be able to effectively communicate the different programs and efforts that are being made available to the students.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. Candidate Jojen, same question to you. Apart from allocating more funds towards programs that fight racial injustice, how do you plan to encourage student participation in those programs?
Yeah, so obviously I do believe like whenever trying to get anyone to participate in everything, especially now with COVID and social distancing and everything being virtual, it can be immensely difficult because naturally students aren't gonna like want to participate, or some students will say that they don't want to participate or they're impeded because transportation or COVID or whatever else. I believe we should measure success not by just how many students participate, but also by looking at who we can reach and the impact of each program. I think we should reach out to students who are most affected by issues of diversity and racial injustice. So that's another factor we should be able to use and measure. And just in general of boosting participation is, of course, social media, advertising different programs, advertising on campus, and making sure that the senators and the executive branch and also the university's administration is active and seen and participating in these programs as well. Because I think if we set a strong example, students will be more inspired and more encouraged to actually participate in the programs themselves as well.
Thank you, candidate Jojen. Candidate Lures, same question to you. Along with allocating funds towards programs that fight racial injustice, how do you plan to encourage student participations in those programs?
So the goals that I have in improving racial justice on campus aren't concerned with the remedial methods that meetings and talks have on our campus. They're more on speaking with university departments and ensuring that Black students are afforded their own orientation to understand the unique experiences that they'll have on this campus. It's more about providing scholarships to Black students through the athletics budget. And it's more about ensuring that hate crimes are extinguished on this campus by providing a more flourished Black community and flooding our population with more diverse people.
We will now move into a 30-second rebuttal time, starting with candidates. We started with candidate Thompson, correct? Yes, okay. Candidate Thompson, you will have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Jojen, 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
Yeah, I think what candidate Lower said definitely is definitely important. It's not just about making small changes. We have to actually reach out to the university's administration and make sure they're aware of the changes and the concerns we have as well.
Candidate Lures, 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Okay, we will move now into our second to last student question. I'll be combining two of these questions because they're very similar. In regards towards promoting a path towards racial injustice, other than communicating with executives and adjusting funding, would you also reach out towards listening to the concerns of racial injustice of the student body? If so, how would you do that? And what is important when you are listening to the community? Combining with the question of how would you listen to the concerns of your constituents? Candidate Jojen, I believe we are going to you next with 2 minutes beginning now.
Yeah, of course. I definitely want to reach out to the community and all the students on campus, hear their concerns. So part of that is, of course, I know senators have their weekly outreach hour. So I'll definitely be making sure that's advertised on my social media and encouraging all students who have any concerns at all to show up to those meetings and come talk to me and share their concerns. Of course, and in addition to that, of course, my email, my texts, my phone is always open for students to reach out to me with any questions or concerns they have. And I think specifically, I will be participating in different programs if I can hear the voices of all the students on campus. And I'm going to make sure that I reach out. And I think definitely one where we see concerns is where people are posting on social media or they're just like posting their frustrations and concerns. So I'll be making sure I pay attention to that as well.
Moving into candidate Lures, I'll repeat the question. In regards towards promoting a path towards racial injustice, other than communicating with executives and adjusting funding, would you also reach out towards listening to the concerns of racial injustice of the student body? If so, how would you do that? And what is important when you're listening to the community, and how would you reach out to the students to hear their concerns?
So the great thing is that I, as a senator, have already completed this step. My BLM legislation that I passed this past summer is entirely compressed of Black student impact and responses. That legislation is comprised of a multitude of lists in what Black students wish would change on this campus to become more equitable for their community. And something that I think that is important too when listening to the community is ensuring that you know who you're listening to and you keep your eye and your ears on who you're listening to. I think that we need to make sure that we are listening to truly Black voices when it comes to systemic change on campus. And I think that when we listen to those Black voices is when we will see the flourishing of that student community on this campus, and we'll see the number of hate crimes start to lessen, the number of unequitable, uncomfortable Black students on campus, and we'll see less deciding or seriously considering leaving the university as well.
Candidate Thompson, the same question to you. In regards to promoting a path towards racial injustice, other than communicating with executives and adjusting funding, would you also reach out towards listening to concerns of racial injustice of the student body? If so, how would you do that? What is important when you're listening to the community? And how would you reach out to students to hear their concerns?
Absolutely. After all, we are elected officials that are here to represent the student voice. So one of the most important things, if there's anything that you accomplish during your Senate, during your session, I think is that you ensure that you are reaching out to your constituents to understand anyone, all marginalized students, any student that attends the University of Nevada, Reno. I think, and I've mentioned this quite a few times, so I apologize if this becomes a little repetitive, but I think part of that is to really try to establish community where people are comfortable to bring up these conversations and to speak with different people. Because if people try to bring and keep everything that they have to say or to discuss with themselves, then there's no chance that there's going to be change. So something that I would like to do is to try to encourage that there's a community where people are able to communicate with their concerns with different people. Personally, I hope to try to take the online distance learning to my advantage in this sense by reaching out to a bunch of different clubs for the upcoming weeks to be able to try to understand and their concerns and to try to communicate them inside the upcoming session. I think that it's important to reach out to constituents through office hours and through social media. And like I said, by developing the connections between the different departments and the different programs that are here at UNR, you'll be able to try to work your best to accomplish these goals.
We will now move into a 30-second rebuttal time. Let me set my timer. Candidate Jojen, you have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Okay. Candidate Lures, 30 seconds rebuttal time beginning now.
I just really hope that diversity, equity, and inclusion are put at the forefront of our common goals within the 89th session. And I hope that each one is given its appropriate amount of attention. I think Senator Ribeiro says it best when diversity is a voice that is valued, equity is a voice that is heard, and inclusion is a voice that is vitalized.
Candidate Thompson, you have 30 seconds rebuttal time beginning now.
All I have to say is that I agree with candidate Lures, and I agree. I think that Senator Ribeiro says it well as well.
Okay, we will move now into our last audience question of the night. I highly recommend to the audience, if your question was not asked tonight, I highly recommend reaching out directly to the candidates. All of their social medias, bios, and platform are on our website, and I believe I can speak for them when I say they would welcome your questions. So we'll move into our last question in the same vein, and we'll start with candidate Lures. How can you make students feel more open and safer in voicing their concerns when many don't know who their senators are or may not follow school social media accounts? 2 minutes beginning now.
I think this again falls in line with one of my forefronted goals for this session. In order to address the situation of the association not being well known, nor the representatives that represent these students, I think that the best path of action would be to host, in my opinion, just a large event that would be entirely focused around us, that had no holiday to fall in line with, had no kind of separate theme along from getting to know who we are and who this association is as a whole, and make sure that there's enough enticing values at this event to ensure that hundreds, if not thousands of people are able to come to this event, whether it spans one day or several days. I think that if we're going to get anything done, and if it's going to be in the name of students, we need to ensure that the students know who we are and that we know what they want.
Thank you, candidate Lewis. Candidate Thompson, 2 minutes to answer this question. How can you make students feel more open and safer in voicing their concerns when many don't know who their senators are or may not follow social media accounts? 2 minutes beginning now.
I think that this question brings up a very valid concern. A lot of us refer or look to social media to being one of the main methods of communication and to outreach to students. But in fact, social media is very limited in who it reaches. It only reaches the people that you follow, and there also likewise might not be many people that follow you or any of the social media accounts. So that's why I think that it's important that ASUN really does try to strike forth the initiative to get ASUN involved with each individual college as much as they can. ASUN has always tried its best to do that, but I think that really trying to communicate with the different college administrations to be able to make it aware to all the students that ASUN is there for them, that ASUN is a resource, and that ASUN is there to represent their student voice. It's going to be probably one of the most effective ways going forth without really trying to rely upon social media. We could really try to curb that by really trying to expand the different efforts that there are to reach people in ASUN.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. Candidate Jojen, same question to you. How can you make students feel more open and safer in voicing their concerns when many don't know who their senators are or may not follow social media accounts? 2 minutes beginning now.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So part of my election campaign is I'm going to be reaching out to different clubs and going into like different classes with engineering related classes. So I'm definitely going to be advertising my personal email, and so encouraging students to reach out to me if they have any concerns or questions. So I think that's one way we can do it, is senators reaching out to classes and clubs where students are going to be more involved in and actually paying attention to. And second is generally advertising, and basically if students aren't following or engage with ASUN, ASUN has an obligation to reach out to them. For example, I see posters and different advertisements I see different ASUN sponsored events like McKay Week all over campus with posters and social media advertisements. So I think that'd be good to also advertise meeting with ASUN senators or just advertising candidates and encouraging students to reach out to us as well, using the same resources we use for other campus related events.
Thank you, candidate Jojen. We'll now move into a 30-second rebuttal time period, starting with candidate Lures, 30-second rebuttal, or sorry, candidate. Yes, we started with Lures, correct? Yes, Thank you. Appreciate everyone's patience with this. Candidate Lures, you have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Thompson, 30-second rebuttal period starting now.
I just wanted to pick up on something that candidate Jojen had mentioned. We have a really great events and programming division of ASUN that hosts all of these events like McKay Week. I think that something that we could try to do and something that would be important is to try to not only use these events to create a community at the university, but to push forth the idea that everyone has access to senators that relate to their college and to their college. So I just think that's something that we could try to expand upon.
Thank you, candidate Thompson. Candidate Jojen, 30-second rebuttal beginning now.
Yeah, no rebuttal.
All right, and that concludes our question portion of the night. We will now move into closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to speak on whatever they want to speak upon. There will be no rebuttal time. We will then start with candidate Thompson. You're the next up. You have 2 minutes to state your closing statement.
So something I just wanted to reiterate is that I am here to represent my constituents. No voice is more important than another, whether you're an elected senator whether you're just a general student, your voice is equally as important. So something that I want to emphasize is that we're all here for you, me and every other senator. I really want to thank you for the opportunity to speak before all of you, and I hope to serve you guys as a senator for the College of Engineering and during the 89th session.
Thank you, Candidate Thompson. Candidate Jojen, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
I'm very excited to be running to serve as the Senator for the College of Engineering. And I've had a great time at ASUN, and I hope I can continue to expand my journey at UNR. So specifically with my other candidates, I think that they're great people. I like their goals, and I look forward to working with them in the next session if I'm elected. And as for everyone else, I hope that I can count on your support. As always, if you have any questions or concerns about any of my goals or my platform, I encourage you to reach out to me. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Candidate Jojen. Candidate Lures, you have 2 minutes starting now.
Like I said at the beginning of this debate, I'm really excited to work with my peers here in the next few months and really get to hit ground running with our goals and being able to, I guess, finish them ethically. And then I'll also say that there are a lot of other candidates in several different colleges that I'm really proud of, and I just have a lot of strong hope for the next session. I think that we'll get a lot of good, unique, great things done that will help this campus for years to come.
Thank you, Candidate Lures. And thank you to all candidates tonight for the College of Engineering. That now concludes our debate on the College of Engineering. I welcome everyone to give a virtual round of applause for the 3 candidates for the College of Engineering. We will now move into the College of Community Health Sciences and Nursing. We will take a 5-minute break to give everyone time to stretch and relax. I do ask the candidates of engineering, if you do wish to stay on, please exit from the panelist view to the attendees view, so then we can focus on the other potential, or the other candidates as well. We will take a 5-minute break and begin again at 8:42. And before I get started, we are recording again. Maddie, could you please pronounce your name one more time? I don't want to screw it up live.
It's Metanaporn Chantianan. That's phonetic, if you would just want to break it down slowly.
Chantianan.
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Okay, because I'm going to be calling everyone by their last name. So Chantianan. Perfect. Thank you. And then Elijah, it's Golish. Perfect. Berggren? Berggren? Which one? Sorry.
It's that extra R, Berggren.
Berggren. Perfect. And then Kid. Awesome. I like it. Perfect. We will go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Ken Finkler, your ASUN Director of Elections. Tonight's debate will be for the candidates for the College of Community Health Sciences / Orvis School of Nursing. Before we begin, I would like to go over some rules. As with all things this year, we are doing these debates virtually. Please refrain from posting anything inside the Q&A function or the chat unless it is an audience submitted question to limit distractions from the debate. We highly encourage the audience to submit questions through the Q&A function to ask the candidates questions on their potential role as senators. We will now move into the rules for tonight's debate. The rules for tonight's debate will be as follows. The debate will be between the Senators for the College of Community Health Sciences and the Orvis School of Nursing. Candidates will be shown on screen in alphabetical order. I will begin the debate with 2-minute opening statements for each candidate. On the screen, there will be 1 minute and 30-second countdowns to let candidates know how much time is remaining. Candidates will be told if they have reached a limit and then muted by myself to ensure an efficient and fair debate is had. After the candidate introductions, we move on to our candidate-centered questions that will focus on the goals each candidate has listed in their bios. Each candidate will get 2 minutes each to respond to each individual question. After all candidates have been given questions, we will then go to a 30-second rebuttal time period where candidates may add anything to their answers, give comment to an opponent's answers, or even ask a question to an opponent about their goals and/or their answers. If a question is asked, the said candidate that was asked will then have a 30 seconds to respond to said question, ending that rebuttal time period. After the first round of questioning, we move into our general questions that stem from questions about the candidates themselves, their vision for ASUN, general ASUN questions. A similar format will be had following this as a 2-minute response time and 30-second rebuttal. Moving into our last question portion, audience questions will then be asked to the candidates from students here tonight and from those who submitted questions today via social media. A similar timing format will be used for this portion as well. Finally, the last portion of tonight's debate for the College of Community Health Sciences and Orvis School of Nursing will be closing statements where candidates will have 2 minutes each for any closing remarks. After this portion, the debate for the College of CHS and Orvis School of Nursing will conclude and a virtual round of applause will be had. Before we begin, does anyone have any questions? Thank you. Candidates, I ask you, if you are not answering a question or asking a question, that you please remain silent to ensure that each candidate is allotted quiet and uninterrupted time. We will go in alphabetical order, and I apologize in advance if I get mixed up on the order. We will try to get back in order as much as we can. To the audience, please feel free to submit any questions in the Q&A. If you submitted a question for the previous debate, please resubmit your question, as we've dismissed all questions from the previous debate. All right, going in alphabetical order, we will go with candidate Berggren for your 2 minutes opening statement.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emma Berggren, and I'm currently a candidate for the Community Health Sciences College. I am a pre-nursing major, and I am also currently a legislative intern for the 88th session. Because I've had the privilege of being an intern, I've been able to see the inner workings and the impact of ASUN on campus, even though it may be remotely. Outside of ASUN, I work on campus as a student desk assistant, which rolls greatly and perfectly right into my goals. Since I am a student desk assistant, I'm able to work with RHA and address concerns and problems with the Residential Hall Association. And in addition with exposing and raising awareness on campus, I also, another one of my goals include mental health resources being available to students and knowing that it's available to them, regardless if they live remotely online or on campus, specifically increasing knowledge on rapid testing and in favor of creating a women's health center on campus. In addition to creating a healthy, sustainable campus and being in favor of passing renewable energy and campus gardens throughout my term. And all in all, I want to listen to student voices as a whole and encourage a spirited Nevada as the recovery of a pandemic, or hopefully during a recovery of a pandemic.
Thank you, candidate Berggren. We will now move into candidate Chauncey.
Hi, everyone. I just want to thank everyone for this opportunity right now, the fact that I get to be here and talk to you guys. My name is Maddie Chantianon for short. I am a second-year pre-nursing student right now. I am a current senator for the 80th session. Just a little about me personally. I'm a first-year student, or like a first-generation student, I should say, and this is all very new to me. I was very new to ASUN, but being in the 88th session, I was able to learn a little bit more. And some of my goals and some of my platform is to lobby against homelessness architecture on campus and ensure that students without housing have more resources accessible, to foster a more welcoming community for all on campus through like initiatives to help minority students feel more involved, and to just promote civil discourse on campus, to increase awareness for the health center, counseling services, and some other resources we have on campus, since I know that most students, while they know about it, they don't really know what it is or how to access it. Along with that, I would like to provide a more direct communication line from ASUN officers to constituents to keep them a little bit more updated. So everyone knows what, everyone might know what ASUN is or what they have, but they don't really know what we're doing exactly. And I would like to have a direct line from ASUN to constituents themselves.
It was going to happen eventually where I was muted and started talking. Moving on to the next candidate, candidate Golish, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement beginning now.
Hi, my name is Elijah Golish, and I am currently a public health major with a minor in biology. What I really want to focus on for Senate is ensuring students feel safe coming back to campus, whether we reopen next semester or we're still in our high flex mode. And with that, having transparency on what our safety measures are regarding cleaning in classrooms and in the Joe and in the fitness center, and also supporting and promoting the vaccination and making sure that students understand the role they have for keeping our community safe at UNR. Another priority I have is making healthy behaviors easier on campus, whether that be going into the Joe and kind of reformulating to where it's easier to have healthy behaviors and eat better. And instead of walking into the little convenience store and seeing all the candy bars, having healthy options for students. That also goes with physical health at the gym and making that less intimidating option for new students. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Golish. We will now move on to candidate Kidd. You have 2 minutes, beginning now.
So hi everyone, my name is Autumn Kidd. I am a second-year kinesiology major here at UNR. I was born and raised in Las Vegas before coming up here. I'm currently a community health sciences senator for the ADA session, and I personally love being an advocate for not only those from my college specifically, but for the university population as a whole, and I would just love to continue being that advocate. As far as campus involvement goes, I am part of the CHS Student Advisory Board and CHS Student Ambassadors Program. I also work as a student worker for the Community Health Sciences Advising Office, and I dedicate a handful of my time to a club and organization known as Camp Kesem. As for my platform, my goals consist of increasing the accessibility of resources to students, encourage transparency from all parts of ASUN to the students so they feel more directly represented, collaborate with the Director of Sustainability to work on environmentally friendly initiatives, and more so working to facilitate a smooth transition back to normal campus operations. As we're looking down the line, there are high hopes for returning to campus at 100% by fall, so we need to be prepared when we finally do return. This could include, but is definitely not limited to, advising workshops, adhering to ADA guidelines in our buildings, increasing counseling services to hop back from any mental side effects of the pandemic, and just overall readjusting academic guidelines for success considering the year of remote learning. And that's me.
Thank you, candidate Kidd. We move into our next section, which will be candidate-centered questions. These questions were created from your bios and your goals. So yeah, you all should know what I'm talking about. We'll move into the first candidate, candidate Berggren. In your goals, you state you want to increase education on mental health and making sure students feel confident, strong, and capable. What would you do in your role as senator to accomplish this goal for students on campus who may struggle with those things?
Yeah, so as a first year student, it's definitely been difficult for students. You know, this is their first year of college, and having them approach in a university where things are all online, it's extremely difficult to learn about a lot of resources that A, they're paying for, and B, that they do have access to. So, you know, as a student and if elected, I think it's only essential if students are aware of the mental health resources that are available. I think that this should be expressed and done in action through social media, which may be overused and oversaid, but social media is very powerful. And I believe that many accounts that give direct access to resources should be almost required to follow by students and actively put within orientation and Nevada Fit resources, something that all new students get to approach by.
Thank you. We will now move on to candidate Chauncey. Your first goal deals with eliminating anti-homeless architecture. What are some examples of architecture you would advocate to remove on campus, and what would you do as senator to advocate for those students who are homeless on our campus?
Okay, so some of the architecture, we actually wrote a legislation on this past semester. I wrote it with Senator Franson and Senator Loers. there was a couple bus stops that were put in that I was thinking that would be a little bit better if we could remove it. Currently not now. I feel like that's a little project in the future, but there are some new seats that prevent from multiple people to sit, and like there's multiple people to lay down. It's a little hard to sit in. I was just thinking that if we could remove architecture like that, not only would it be more accessible for people with disability, but it also just create another place for people to be able to sit down, maybe like, take a small break, have shelter from when it's raining or anything. Along with that, I'm sorry, can you repeat the second part of your question?
The second part of the question is, what would you do as senator to advocate for students on our campus who are homeless?
So to advocate, first of all, I'd start off with just finding resources first, or I'd start to find resources what they possibly need. So I would need to reach out to students in that population, and it might be a little hard since just having a housing situation is something that's a little bit taboo. So I would reach out to them first and then look at all their resources and find a way to put that all together and make it more accessible to them through websites or just a link that they can access.
Thank you. We'll now move on to candidate Golish. Let me pull up your goal. In your goals, you state that you want to ensure your constituents' needs and goals are met. How would you go about finding out their needs and goals and then making sure they are met or not?
So one thing that I think is really cool about our college is recently they created a on web campus. I'm pretty sure all students were automatically enrolled to this little course on there. And I think that's a great resource that isn't being used enough right now. And especially with Senate going on, all the elections and stuff, it's not being used as much. So I really try to utilize tools like that to where you're reaching essentially the most people that you can for the CHS college and try to get their ideas and understand their voice and hear their voices through that. Other than that, outreach is really one of the most important things as a senator, going out and going to the different populations, because as a senator, it's your job to find these different communities and populations on campus. They shouldn't have to find you. So I would really focus on hearing what they have to say and making sure that equity and all these different resources are pushed towards what the student body wants.
Thank you, candidate Golish. We will now move on to candidate Kidd. You state that you want to work with the Director of Sustainability to increase environmentally friendly programs. What kind of programs would you want to institute or would like to work on with the director?
So I personally got this idea initially from the initiative of changing our light bulbs to solar powered. And I have had multiple meetings with our Director of Sustainability for possible initiatives and programs to actually implement. However, just in times of COVID, we are limited to what we can do. But one other than changing our normal light bulbs to solar powered to increase sustainability on campus, a program that could be implemented is just our university waste management. I know that seems like something so remedial, but I mean, global warming, it is a constantly ever growing topic of conversation. And if we really want to be the ones to change something about it, we actually have to do something and not rely on the future generations to come. With that being said, the first place we can absolutely do it is in our own lives, in our own homes, at our own university. And one thing we could do, as simple as it is eliminate plastic straws. And I know it's a very taboo topic, but I mean, if you look at results from how, when California started that initiative, the whole state, their general waste production has decreased tenfold. So I think something as simple as that could be implemented at the start of the next session, just as one of my ideas.
Thank you, candidate Kidd. We'll now move into the 30-second rebuttal time period in which you can continue to make comments on your first answer, ask comments on other candidates' answers, or even ask them questions as well. Candidate Berggren, you will have 30 seconds beginning now.
Yeah, just to reiterate, another one of my goals is just to promote communication as a whole. And although social media can be very powerful, I think since everyone here is a student, regardless of community health science college or not, I think it's essential to reach out to students on Canvas and lots of the student tools that every student already obtains. That way, the odds of them learning about ASUN or learning about anything in general is reached to all.
Thank you for your rebuttal. Candidate Chauncey, you have 30 seconds beginning now.
I currently have no rebuttal.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Golish, you have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal. Thank you.
Okay. Candidate Kidd, you have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Okay. We will now then move into our general questions. Our general questions, again, come from getting to know your candidacy, general vision for ASUN, and then general ASUN questions as well, too. Again, for those in the attendees, please feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A. After this time period, we will then move into student questions, so please feel free to blow up the Q&A section. All right, moving on, we're going to move into the next period. This first question, we will then go into a line. We'll go to candidate Chauncey. The first question is, what committees do you plan on sitting on? Why those committees? And how sitting on those committees can help your constituents within your college?
Two of the committees I was actually thinking of sitting on for the next session would be Committee of Sustainability, Safety, and Wellness. Since that's a committee that I already sit on, it really does reach within like health services, counseling services, all of that, which are within my goals, and I feel like a good amount of my goals. And my second committee would be Committee on Civic Engagement. That really deals with a lot of, as the name says, civic engagement on campus, and that really does get students involved. And that is something that's also part of my goals and something I also really want to really push for, which is constituents like really getting in there and engaging with each other, despite if you have to be online or if it's going to be high flex.
Thank you. Moving to the next one, candidate Golish, same question to you. What committees do you plan on sitting on? Why those committees? And how can those committees help you better serve your constituents?
So one of the committees I would like to sit on is the Academics and Student Affairs. The reason for this is I feel like there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that students aren't aware of or don't have full information on. And by being a part of this committee, I would be able to inform students on what is happening and how they can have a voice in these different things going on. And I think that's really important for the student body to understand what goes on behind the scenes and what we do is in Senate, especially regarding the fee increase that CHS had and all of that. Another committee I'd like to sit on is Safety, Sustainability, and Wellness. I feel like it really kind of embodies the goals and the platform that I have for a senator. So really focusing on student health and making sure that they're safe, especially coming back from pandemic and being online and everything. It's important that they feel safe and that they're healthy and that their needs are met when coming back to campus.
Thank you. Moving on to the next candidate, candidate Kidd, you have 2 minutes for the same question of what committees would you sit on, why those committees, and how those committees can better help serve your constituents.
Yeah, so I would have to agree with candidate Golish, and I would love to sit on both committees of academic and student affairs, as well as safety, sustainability, and wellness. I believe safety, sustainability, and wellness goes hand in hand with my goals. If you guys get a chance to read them. If you really look at the overall aspect of what CHS like represents, it's kind of hand in hand with that committee, SSW. As for academics and student affairs, there are a lot of little projects that happen in that committee. This past session, for example, we had talk of the new grade replacement policy. We were the liaisons with the academics office, and the SU policy that got extended to further semesters during this pandemic. Those are the types of projects that happen during or in this committee. And I would just love to be part of that and continue the new goals and projects and implementations.
Thank you, Candidate Kidd. Candidate Berggren, you have the same question of what committees would you sit on, why those committees, and how those committees can help better serve your constituents.
Just as it's been mentioned, I would find myself sitting on safety, sustainability, and wellness, just because I think that all of the values that that committee holds is exactly what this university needs at this time. Having students return to a healthy campus is essential. Creating new healthy places on campus is something that would not only be motivating, but essential to, maintain the health after a pandemic or still continuing. In addition to a second committee would be civic engagement. I think ever since just as the College of Engineering has voiced, as a new pair of eyes and as a new student here, I've been able to see a lot of the disconnect that students have with the university. I think that recovering and sitting on that committee would be something to bring to students and let them have an uplifted voice on how to create a more spirited and involved Nevada.
Thank you. We will now move to our 30-second rebuttal time. Candidate Chauncey, you have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Okay. Candidate Golish, you have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal, thank you.
Okay. Candidate Kidd, you have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Berggren, you have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
All right. We'll now move into our next question, and this question will be directed first at candidate Golish and going around that way. What makes you the most qualified candidate to serve your college as senator?
So being a CHS major, a lot of my classes are involved with health policy and kind of what Senate does laws and everything to do with that. And I have a huge passion for health and wellness and being a voice for the students. And my involvement with research regarding physical activity with UNR, I think I just have a lot of passionate goals, and I really want to be able to help the student body and be a part of the decisions that we make. And I also am just very encouraged to and grateful for this opportunity. And so, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Kidd, 2 minutes to you. Again, what makes you the most qualified candidate to serve your college as senator?
So I believe I'm well equipped with the knowledge from my past experience in the ADA session and my knowledge working in near all aspects of our college to better represent our student population. I also have experience not being part of the association before the pandemic hit. I believe this is crucial for this upcoming session since we are looking into reopening the campus at 100%, and in doing so we can evaluate where we used to be and started at and compare it with where we want to be, what we want to change, and how to make the changes happen. Like candidate Golish also said, we are all part of CHS, obviously, and we are taking these classes that further our education in the aspects of our goals. So for example, my goal of like furthering mental health programs and just getting help for that, like we're taking classes to better be educated on topics like this. So I don't think that aspect can make any singular person a better candidate, because I do believe we are all well equipped with that aspect. But yeah.
All right. Same question to you, candidate Berggren. You have 2 minutes to answer the question of what makes you the most qualified candidate to serve your college as senator.
I believe I'm very qualified because, as I've mentioned in my previous answer, since I am a freshman and since I've only understood what the university looks like in a pandemic, the needs and the wants of students is something that's been expressed, I think, at a great level. And since everything is remote, it's hard to get that to ASUN. And as the only freshman here as a candidate in the community health science, I think I'm going to be a great voice and a great a great person to bridge the gap between the remote into the physical, especially on behalf of my college and specifically within my class. I think that with also, in addition, as my role as a desk assistant with RHA, I'm able to relay messages and concerns that the university may have with housing, especially as throughout a pandemic. And within my legislative internship, I've been able to write pieces of legislation on housing and how housing has failed many students throughout the pandemic, and relaying the most communication possible.
Thank you. We'll now move into candidate Chauncey. You have 2 minutes to answer the question of what makes you the most qualified candidate to serve as senator of your college.
Just kind of repeating what everyone else said, you know, I am part of the CHS student. I don't think that's like any big factor, but I am part of my college. With being a senator in the 80th session, I have known a little bit more people. I've learned how to reach out, and I am now more equipped with more experience, more knowledge, and I now understand what I need to do to reach students. Through outreach with being a senator, I've learned more students and what they want to see, more students within the CHS field. With that, I'm just learning a little bit more, and I really want to keep going with that. And I meant like keep going and like, you know, I'm sorry. Like keep going with it and, you know, better myself around it. I have a little bit more knowledge, so it's going to be a little bit better. And with the 89th session, with my knowledge, I'm going to go further. And that's really it.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move into our 30-second rebuttal time. Starting with candidate Golish, you have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal. Thank you.
Okay, candidate Kidd, 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
All right, candidate Berggren, 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Chauncey, 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
All right, move into the next question. We'll start with candidate Kidd this time. Why do you want to become a senator?
I think personally there are so many answers to this, but my main reasoning for wanting to be a senator is to remain as an advocate for our student population in our college specifically. I think our college gets looked over a lot because the running joke a lot of people have is like, we're so focused on our studies, we're so focused in going to med school that like we can't entertain ourselves with what's going on at the university. And so my driving force into being a senator is so that we can start improving on our university rate at which we well, I can't think of the words, so I'm going to skip over it right now. But I really do want our college to be more inclusive with the rest of what's going on at the university, not just in our little bubble. And that's really my main driving force. We did take the drive to create a Canvas module this past semester on, well, Canvas, and it's inclusive to every single CHS student. Like, it's run by our student advisory board. Our president leads it, and it really just lets the students know of all these internships, job applications, like opportunities that are going around campus. And so I really just think we can improve upon that. And that specifically is my main drive, my main goal for wanting to be a senator as a whole.
Thank you. Candidate Berggren, same question to you. Why do you want to become a senator?
Some of my main reasons of why I would like to be a senator for the 89th is just to encourage and to motivate and increase student engagement as a whole. When I first became a legislative intern, one of my goals were just to extend my my progress of student leadership into my college. And after seeing kind of an absence of willing interns, and not seeing a lot of people wanting to participate in the ASUN as a whole, I think my whole motivation is just to uplift student voices and understand that they have a place here in college, regardless if it's CHS or not. And in addition with CHS, I also want a lot of CHS majors to feel as if they have a voice regardless other than just pre-nursing, but with all the other majors that fall underneath that college as well. And of course, throughout the pandemic, I've seen a lull and I've seen a huge disconnect, and it's very difficult to see because as someone who's very passionate for student voice and for student learning and education as a whole, I think that raising awareness of what students can do here and how they can use their voices is one of my main goals.
Thank you. Candidate Chauncey, same question to you. Why do you want to become a senator?
Well, first of all, I just want to be a senator because in the past year, I didn't know what ASUN was. I didn't know what ASUN did. And once I found out what it was, I applied, and obviously I ended up being able to be part of this association. And that was something that I feel like really changed me in a sense because I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. It really made me know my community more, and it really made me know what my college is doing, what the school is doing for us. And I just want to pass what I've learned onto other constituents. And ASUN is something that a lot of people kind of know what it's about, but they don't really know what we're doing and what it is. And I want to be something of like a voice and an outlet. And if we're able to reach the students and the constituents even by a little bit, I just wanted to, spread the word and show the people that what we're doing and possibly invite more people. Because right now with COVID, the pandemic and everything being online, we are at a disconnect. And honestly, it kind of sucks that most students don't really know what we're doing and that they're not really involved. And my main goal right now, if I am elected or if I do get in, is to just spread the word and possibly bring in more people. Because this is a great association. I just want more people to know what we're doing and know what we are.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Golish, you have 2 minutes to answer the question of why do you want to become a senator?
So my reason for wanting to become a senator kind of stemmed from my experiences as a student on campus. This past year has been crazy with the pandemic and closing campus and then reopening and this and that. And I kind of saw as a student how difficult it was to understand what was going on. We closed down and then we opened back up in the fall and then we shut down again. And I feel like as a student, I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't know what they were doing. And I really want to be there for students who are going through the same thing, especially when we reopen. I want to ensure that the student body understands the processes we're going through and the decisions we make as a campus. That way they also have a say and they're informed in what's happening. I also have a lot of questions as a student. I just have a bunch of questions about different things like how we had a extra surcharge and prices for CH classes went up. And I looked around and I realized I don't know who to talk to about these things. And that kind of sucks as a student because without that resource or knowing about that resource, it's hard to really feel like a part of the community. So that's kind of what I want to change. I want to make sure I'm reaching all the students, not just CHS, and giving them the opportunity to make a difference.
And we will now move to our 30-second rebuttal time period. Candidate Kidd, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Berggren, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal beginning now.
I just also want to add on that in order to speed up COVID and to not make such a increase in cases on campus would definitely just raise the knowledge of rapid testing in the student health center and understanding that students on campus can receive rapid tests to keep themselves safe.
Okay. Candidate Chauncey, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Golish, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal beginning now.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what I was saying. I also really want to push forward to getting the student body vaccinated. Even when we do go back to campus, I want to make sure people are informed about it and that they understand how important it is and that we keep our campus safe. And that's really one of the biggest things I want to help with just the transition back to on campus.
Okay, thank you, candidates. We'll move into our next question. Actually, I apologize. We're actually going to move into the student questions. We finally got enough for us to move into that. So we'll move into the student-led questions. And I believe we left on candidate Kidd, if I'm correct. Okay, so we are back around. Candidate Berggren, we're going to start with you. Okay. For the first student-led question, how can you ensure community health science students and Orvis School of Nursing students become a unified voice between their three representatives?
One thing I really admire about the college, and especially all of the people running, is you can just tell right off the bat that, you know, we all want to sit on the same committees, we all have the same goals, and we all have the same entrances. And, you know, no matter who elected, no matter what, I think it's essential that this college disagrees on very little amount of things, because the amount of, if you disagree on things such as mental health, you know, it doesn't allow enough time for students to receive the correct message and to receive enough help. So I think that in order to you know, unite all of our voices as a college, it's essential just to agree on all of our same goals and to work together if all of them are the same. More voices means more power and, you know, more uplifted voices to achieve those goals. And if we all have the same ones and we all communicate with one another, regardless if it's online, and just as another goal stated in the College of Engineering, if we all know each other and we understand what we stand for, and we're all senators who are bonded into one, I think that granting goals to students are going to come very easily once we recognize that we're all the same.
Thank you. Candidate Chauncey, same question to you. I will read it again. How can you ensure the community health science students and Harvard School of Nursing students become a unified voice between the three representatives?
I believe candidate Berggren covered most of it, but my main thing I would reiterate would be communication. The biggest thing to unify us would be communication, and to know that we're all on the same page, or to know that we have at least one common goal and that we all know what each other might be doing, and to tell each other what is going on between our own little bubble, and eventually, you know, making that into one big bubble. But my biggest thing would just be communication, keeping updates with each other, know what's going on, because that way we can help each other out. And when everyone was saying their goals, we all had like a common underlying goal, or we always had something that was in common. If we kept talking about that and we worked together, as candidate Berggren said, we'd start to become one, because either way, we're all in this and we're applying to this job to be, you know, we have a common goal anyways. We're going to be here together. We work for the same college. So no matter what, we're just going to have to talk to it, and we're going to have to communicate of what we want with each other.
Thank you. Candidate Golish, same question to you. How can you bring the two differing groups? How can you ensure community health science students and Orvis School of Nursing students become a unified voice between their three representatives?
Well, I think one of the major things we have to look at is how big and CHS is growing as a college, and how we only have 3 seats. And with that, I think the importance of working together is just that much more. You know, we need to be communicating with each other and making sure that we are planning things together, whether that be talking to our dean, Dr. Larson, and kind of figuring out plans. That way we can efficiently help our student body in our college. Especially, I think everyone here has different plans in life and different sections that they're majoring in for CHS. So I think just using that to our advantage and allowing for a more diverse take on Senate and stuff would be the best step.
Okay, moving on to candidate Kidd. Same question to you. How can you ensure that community health science students and Orvis School of Nursing students become a unified voice between their three representatives?
So I don't believe there is much more to cover from what the candidates have already said. What we currently do in the ADA session between the CHS senators, it seems very rudimentary, but we have a group chat. It's the three of us, it's a group chat, and we can easily get what we want across. Like there isn't a high standard of talking to each other. Like we're not trying to force each other to be people we aren't. Like we want this open communication. In order to do that, we have to make each other feel comfortable. And I think that's going to be the key factor into having good communication and kind of representing as that one whole body that the question refers to. Because if we aren't comfortable with each other, then how are we going to accomplish our goals? How are we going to ask each other for help, especially when it's stuff regarding our own college? It seems like the simple questions to ask, but if you don't like create that open dialogue, you don't create that open environment, the friendliness, the factors that feed into that, then how are we expected to have that open communication? So I believe just to encompass that all, like just to have a friendly environment, make each other comfortable and make sure like we're all on the same page with everything, and our voices are heard even if they are representing different perspectives of the project or initiative that we're working on.
Okay. Candidate Berggren, we're going to go into our 30-second rebuttal. You have 30 seconds beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Okay. Candidate Chauncey, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Golish, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal. Thank you.
Candidate Kidd, 30 seconds for rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Okay. Move into our next student question. And for this time, we will begin with candidate Chantyanan. Given the time that we are living in, how do you think you're going to be able to reach out to students?
So I believe I already have a leg up on this. I've already done outreach and my approach has been a little bit aggressive. I would literally just go up to students and talk to them, introduce myself. Obviously, like online, since school was a little bit not in person, high flex, but I would just message them, talk to them a little bit and ask them what they want, or I would go to my friends who were, also in CHS, or they knew any constituents who wanted to say something, and I just tell them, hey, come to me. I'd always try to remain open, but my main thing is that with being online, students won't really come to me, so I have to go to them, and I go to them through either social media, or if I know someone from my classes, I'll message them on like Canvas and introduce myself and stuff like that already.
Okay. Move into candidate Golish. Same question to you. Given the time that we are living in, how do you think you are going to be able to reach out to students?
Well, with being online, it definitely, everything is essentially going to be through social media and all of that. But I think an issue that a lot of people face is that they get caught up on just one way of communication. And oftentimes it's just one form of social media, like one platform. And I think what's really important, since we are online and we don't have that face-to-face contact, is that we diversify our outreach and we use different methods to contact people. I know we all take CHS classes, so just sending out a Canvas notification saying, hey, if you guys have any questions or anything, here's my contact information. We can also just make those social media posts, try to get as many people as you can. That way people are aware of Senate and what's going on. I think it's just important to have a really diverse outreach through different forms of online communication.
Thank you, candidate Golish. We'll move on to candidate Kidd. Same question to you. Given the time that we are living in, how do you think you're going to be able to reach out to students?
Yeah, so one main resource we have as students is our own creativity. We have social media accounts, we have GroupMe, group chats, we message each other on Canvas with approval from our instructors. Like the options are endless, truly. When we are looking at reaching out to the students, we can have one-on-ones with them, provide viable solutions with direct steps, plans of actions as to how we are going to address our concerns. We can make the experience more realistic, because specifically as a senator, there is only so much we can do without butting heads with another department. So we can explain to the students the process we are going to take to address the issue, even if we aren't going to be the ones specifically addressing it. We honestly can use this pandemic to our advantage. So many things are happening on Zoom, meetings, classes, like all of it. Someone could have a back-to-back schedule with very limited time, but will have a 5-minute period where they can meet. They wouldn't need to drive anywhere to meet or anything like that. Take a look at this from a different perspective as well. A person with a disability will more often than not need more time physically to get somewhere that has proper ADA accommodations, or need more time to mentally comprehend what they're being told. We often look at this pandemic as a roadblock when it comes to reaching out to students, but if anything, it's more helpful in us accommodating the flexibility and strain of schedules of the students that we are representing.
Candidate Berggren, same question to you. Given the time that we're living in, how do you think you are going to be able to reach out to students?
Of course, social media is something that is so oversaid, but it's there obviously, but just as many people, some people don't obtain social media, and just as Candidate Kid was saying, it's very easy to think of this pandemic as something negative and a roadblock, as she perfectly said. However, it makes it easy to go into Zoom classes and physically communicate, physically unmute your mic and talk to CHS majors, and not even just CHS, anyone in any college. In some of my CHS classes, I've had great experiences with people coming into our classes and just talking to us, letting freshmen know what this university is about and different programs on the university. And that had a great impact on me for sure as an individual. So I would love other people, especially in my college, to have that same experience of people coming into their Zooms and making them realize this is still a university. This is still something that everyone's a part of, instead of just doing all by yourself on your own laptop in your room.
Okay, we will now move to a 30-second rebuttal time, starting with Candidate Chauncey. I've been doing good. I'm so sorry. Chauncey Annen, 30-second rebuttal time starting now.
I have no rebuttal.
Okay. Candidate Golish, 30-second rebuttal time starting now.
Yeah, I just wanted to also add how important collaboration is, especially with ASUN. And it's not just about outreaching to the students, but outreaching to faculty and staff and professors and advisors and stuff, just so that we can all work as a team to then further our connection and stuff with the students.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Kid, 30-second rebuttal time starting now.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Berggren, 30-second rebuttal time starting now.
No rebuttal.
Okay, we'll now move on to our next candidate question. The first one to Golish. We are now moving to Candidate Golish. Will be the first one to answer this question. What does protecting the pack mean to you?
So it can mean a lot of things, honestly, but right now during the pandemic and our everything going on with that, I think it's one of our most important duties to the student body. We want to make sure that students feel safe coming back to campus and that they understand the processes we're taking to make sure they're safe. Meaning we need to be extremely transparent about what we're doing, and that way they can give us feedback on what they think will protect them the most as well. It's really just listening to the students and being in the best interest of helping them come back to campus and making sure that they have all the opportunities pre-pandemic and everything. So yeah.
Thank you. Candidate Kid, same question to you. What does protecting the pack mean to you?
So like Candidate Golish said, there is multiple meanings to this, but I think if we were to take a look at it from a whole value kind of thing, protecting the pack, personally to me, it means making sure the students feel physically protected on campus, so they feel safe in the environment that they are in and that we've created for them, and that they feel included in our environment. Like, take a look at this from a diversity perspective. Not all people of color would feel included in some aspects of our university. So I feel like protecting the pack can extremely reach out to that demographic and including them in more things so that they do feel more represented and feel more included and overall feel more protected, as it would be said in terms of protect the pack. But other than what Candidate Golish had already said, I don't think there's more to elaborate on.
Okay. Candidate Berggren, same question to you. What does protecting the pack mean to you?
Yeah, so I really love this question because there's so many ways that you can go about it. Not only is it a physical meaning and something that is, something that makes the university, UNR, what differentiates UNR from other universities. But something that, I'd like to take a part on for protecting the pack is protecting your confidence and your reputation as a student. It's so easy to lose your sight of what you want your academic goals to be. Everything being shut down and everything just being all through a screen can be incredibly discouraging. And I think that protecting your own confidence of what you want here at the university, advertising, what major can end up in the future as an entire ASUN in every college. I think protecting our students and protecting the fact that they do have a future no matter what happens and any societal need, I think that's essential to every university and any college.
Okay. Candidate Chauncey, 2 minutes to you to answer the question. What does protecting the pack mean to you?
That just sounds like a broken record, but yeah, there's so many aspects to it. For me personally, it's that students are comfortable coming back and they know that it's okay to be here, and they know that it's also okay to not feel like it's not okay to be here. Like, it's totally okay what you're feeling, and that we're gonna work through it together. That's really how I think protecting the pack means, that the students know that we're here for them and that there is always some place where we can come over and like talk it out, and that there is going to be help provided, because sometimes one group will feel confident, one group's going to feel comfortable, and there's going to be a totally different group that, they feel lost, they feel confused, or they're always just going to be like, I don't think this is going to work. And that's perfectly okay, because I feel that too sometimes, and I know that I feel really protected, and I feel that I'm more unified when other people show that they also care and that there's always a place to go to. So I'm not like a human shield or anything per se, but if I can, I would like to show that there is a place for them to be and that there is a place for them to come to and talk through it.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move to a 30-second. Oh, Candidate Golish, you did answer this question, right? Or we started with candidate. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate your help. So 30-second rebuttal to you, Candidate Golish, starting now.
No rebuttal, thank you.
Okay. Candidate Kidd, 30-second rebuttal to you.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Berggren, 30-second rebuttal to you.
No rebuttal.
Candidate Chauncey, 30-second rebuttal to you.
No rebuttal.
Okay. We're going to move into our last question of the night. I highly recommend to those attending the debates tonight, if your question did not get answered, I highly recommend reaching out to the candidates themselves. Their information, emails, contact information, social medias are all posted up on their bios on the ASUN elections page. And I believe I can speak on behalf of them that they would be more than willing to hear from each of you and answer any of your questions. So this last one is, and we will go to Candidate Kidd first to end it off. How will you represent the underrepresented individuals in your college, including people of color, sexual orientation minorities, and other minorities?
So I do definitely think that there is a different kind of finesse that you have to have when approaching this topic and like this general niche. So I don't think the standard approach of what was it called? Sorry, the standard approach of representing them as normal constituents would work. I do think we would need to reach out to them specifically, go to their clubs. For example, we could go to the GRI club, present there, get feedback at the club specifically in an environment where they personally feel comfortable. That's just one example though. Like, there are multiple clubs on campus. I think we have over 200. I could be off on that statistic. But I think like these clubs, they're up and running. These students feel comfortable in these clubs. Like, they feel that they can be themselves. And I feel like that's the best way to approach this type of situation, because if you really want their feedback, you need to make sure that they're willing to give it. Like, you're not forcing it out of them. So like I said, the GRI club is just like one example. there are numerous ones. If we didn't want to go to clubs, we could reach to specific constituents that we do know on a personal level, and kind of get into a friend group kind of situation. I know it's not the best example, but like I said, these students aren't going to feel comfortable coming to us in our office hours, coming to us on Senate, like at our meeting. So we really just need to adhere to them and make them feel like they're in control of the situation, because really that's how it should be portrayed.
Okay. Candidate Berggren, same question to you. How will you represent underrepresented individuals in your college, including people of color, sexual orientation minorities, and all underrepresented groups?
I think that this is a great question, because I think it's something that should be addressed every single semester, every single year. A trend that I've definitely been noticing during hot topics and societal issues is that a lot of targeted demographics aren't given the opportunity to speak. A lot of the time, for instance, throughout Black Lives Matter, it's a lot of white activism sort of speaking on the matter instead of actual represented Black voices. And for instance, raising awareness of sexual orientation clubs and giving those people spotlight instead of people who aren't in that demographic, because it doesn't make sense for someone who's not in that demographic to speak on people who are in that demographic. So I think, just as Candidate Kid said, putting huge clubs that represent these demographics and underrepresented individuals in the spotlight is key to understanding what they want, what we need to provide for them, and to how to make a united Nevada student body as a whole.
Okay. Same question to you, Candidate Chauncey. How will you represent underrepresented individuals in your college, including people of color, sexual orientation minorities, and all underrepresented groups on campus?
It's a little bit touchy, but I feel like you can't ever represent an underrepresented group because you don't know really what they're feeling, what they're really going through. But I feel like you can better understand them and better learn, especially if you are going to be a representative. Try to know them more, try to be associated with them, go into it. Like Candidate Kid said, they have clubs that they're really comfortable in. Go to those clubs, go into those meetings, not as an ASUN representative, and not as an outside third party figure, but as someone who genuinely wants to learn more about just this group, the people in it. And once you do that, I feel like you can better understand them, and you can better know what they want and what it is. And the biggest part is talking to them, communication. But my biggest thing is that you need to learn what group you are going to be representing, or what group you are going to be an outlet for. Because if you're not part of that group, there's going to be some things that you may think you understand, but they can totally think something else. So my main answer would just to be, I want to assimilate into that group, and I want to know, and I want to learn. And then once we get from there, we can talk about it, and then we can bring in other people, and have them be the voice for their demographic rather than me being the voice.
Thank you. Candidate Golish, same question to you. How will you represent the underrepresented individuals in your college, including people of color, sexual orientation minorities, and all underrepresented groups on campus?
Yeah, so going off of something I sort of mentioned earlier, it's unfair and unrealistic to have these minority groups find us. And it's our job to seek them out and find them so that we can hear their voices. And, I'm not going to be able to represent them to the best, totally, because I'm not part of that group, but I can do my best to try to understand and try to hear where they're coming from. And with that, being a senator and being in this position you can't generalize what you're doing and your goals. You have to be specific, because equity is a thing, and all these different groups are so diverse and so different and special in their own way, that when you're really making your platform and thinking of your goals, you have to take into consideration all the different groups we have on campus and see if you're actually making goals for everyone on campus. That way, everybody is represented. I really think that, as everybody else was saying, finding ways to reach them, because everybody has different ways of communication, finding those specific routes of communication and outreach are really important for hearing what these underrepresented groups have to say on campus.
Thank you. And Kenneth Kidd, you were the first one to answer this question, correct? Okay, so we move into the 30-second rebuttal period. Kenneth Kidd, you have 30 seconds to rebuttal starting now.
No rebuttal.
Okay. Candidate Berggren, you have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal.
Okay. Candidate Chauncey, you have 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
Just to say something really quickly, I think there's a difference between listening and just hearing. And one of the biggest things is that you're going to really need to listen to these people and really understand them, because hearing, it can just go in one ear and out the other.
Okay. Candidate Golish, 30 seconds rebuttal beginning now.
No rebuttal, thank you.
Okay. All right. We will now move into our last portion of the night. We will now hear the closing statements from each candidate. Candidates, you will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. And if on cue, candidate Berggren, we will start at the top alphabetically with you for 2 minutes, starting now.
Yeah, just want to reiterate all of my goals and my experience here. As a freshman, as a first year, the only thing I've really known is a COVID university, and I've understood and seen the problems first at hand, which works greatly with, my experience and also within ASUN remotely as a legislative intern. Already being able to know legislation and, the power that your voice can obtain is something that I've been so privileged to do, even if we're not in person. In addition, my passions on addressing problems on campus, firstly with the Residential Hall Association and a lot of promises that it makes to students, but then ends up failing in the end. In addition to exposing all of the resources here, very overly said, but essentially all students are paying for these resources, and it would be insane if they didn't understand what all of them were here for them for. So for instance, mental health and raising knowledge, and as a whole, creating a healthy, sustainable Nevada campus and involving that with the state as well. And also just listening to student voices as a whole and speeding up this pandemic and testing and vaccinating, just so we can all get back together and get back to what we're good at doing and educating.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Chauncey, you have 2 minutes for your closing statements.
I don't really have much to say except that I'm just really thankful for this opportunity. Whoever is elected, it's really great to meet everyone, and to know what everyone has to say. It was really great. And if all things go well, I just wanted to be like a voice, and I just really wanted to be someone that the students can come to. I feel like I've been able to keep a casual approach, and I want to keep doing that so that more students can come talk to me, and that I can go talk to more students and just really connect with my college even more. Because although I may have reached a group in this session, there's a lot more people and there's a lot more new students that will be coming. And I just really want to know, I just want them to know that I'm really here. I'm here for the students, and I am one of the students. I'm representing not only me, but most of us and what I can reach. So that's my biggest thing. I just hope that people know what I feel personally, because that's something you can't really show people and really let them know. But that's what it is.
Candidate Golish, you have two minutes for a closing statement period.
I just want to first off say how grateful I am for this opportunity, and how passionate I am about these different ideas I have and what this ASUN and Senate can become for the CHS college. I really want to focus on making the easy transition back into campus. And I think it's so important because so many students haven't even been on campus yet because of online and stuff. So I think just trying to focus my passions into helping the student body, that's really where I want to get involved. And also just making campus a healthier place for everyone and making it easier to be healthy on campus, making the gym less intimidating for newcomers, and making healthy choices easier. And honestly, I love being a part of the community and helping other students, because I am a student too. So I totally understand where you can feel lost on campus. So I really just want to be a figure that can help these students out, as I wish I had.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Kid, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Yeah, so I really am thankful for being allowed to speak for you all tonight. I'm here to be a representative for the students of our college, first and foremost. If you look at the legislation alone, we have done so much in the 88th session so far, and I am hopeful for the 89th session and to accomplish the common themes of the goals from not only the candidates for this senator's seat or senator seats, but all the colleges combined. I do think communication is key for the future of this association, and I want to do my part in bettering that as a whole. I really do hope to continue serving you all as a senator for the College of Community Health Sciences and continuing just to be that advocate.
Thank you. And that finally concludes our debate for the College of Community Health Sciences in the Orvis School of Nursing. I would like to thank all candidates for their candid answers and their patience and willingness to do this over Zoom. I'd love to give them a virtual round of applause. Also a virtual round of applause to all of our attendees for such fantastic questions. And again, we continue to have debates this coming Thursday, next Tuesday, and next Thursday as well for the other Senate debates before we get into the primary election. Please be on the lookout for ASUN's website, ASUN's social media for more updates. And remember, voting is in March. Voting is on the 3rd and the 4th for the primary. Voting is on the 10th and 11th for the general election. And thank you everyone for coming out tonight, and have a good night.